there's this thing called mucoid plaque, which, all right, here's one way to explain it. We know we've got a nose, two pipes that go here, and we know when things that irritate our biology go into our nose forms mucus to protect it. The mucus covers annoying, irritating, inflammatory, acidic particles, whether it's air pollution or whatever that can come in with the air in the nose. The body creates mucus and it wraps the mucus around the irritant to protect our body, to buffer and insulate our body. And we know that the longer we leave mucus in the nose, or the more dirty air the nose is breathing, the more the mucus builds up, the thicker it gets. And then if we don't blow it out, or if we wake up in the morning and it's been there all night, we know what happens to it. The mucus dries out and hardens into what's known as a booger, right? Well, we have a 30 plus feet tube that goes through from our nose and our mouth and our throat and our digestive system all the way out the other end. And there's a lot more toxic things that most people put in their mouths than what they breathe up their nose. Kilos of it. Probably kilos a day. At least hundreds and hundreds of grams a day. Of all kinds of things that are offensive to our biology. That don't have an affinity, that aren't electromagnetically, chemically compatible. And so our body, our main tube does the same thing. It produces mucus and it covers anything that's too offensive to our body. And so Carloth has just posted some images now. Don't get too horrified or distracted, but anyway. So this mucus covers the inside of our digestive system. Our colon, we know what our colon, our large intestine looks like, our small intestine. And that mucus hardens, and we can never pick out the booger in our intestinal system. Our body does its best to wash everything through. But gradually, over a lifetime, this thick layer of like rubbery mucoid plaque accumulates.
Beauty's in there.
Yeah. Accumulates and sticks to the inside of our intestines. And you can see there by the shapes of it that this mucus was all stuck inside all of the folds and grooves of people's large intestine, small intestine. And that mucoid plaque inhibits, when we start intentionally eating more healthily, that mucoid plaque inhibits and blocks our body's ability to assimilate good nutrition from good food. And not only that, as I mentioned yesterday, that is the manifestation of the pain body. That is a breeding ground. It's like take a beautiful garden and cover it in junk and rubbish and slime and all kinds of waste. Everyone knows what dirty kitchen or bathroom pipes look like. Everyone's seen pictures of municipal pipes or plumbing pipes when they're cleared out. And the gunk that's in the pipes in our homes, that's just the leftovers of cleaning the plates and the pots of what we've been eating. Well, the same thing happens in our body. And that's why we don't feel good. That's why we have mental fogginess, emotional imbalance. That's why we have less than inspiring thoughts. That's why we complain. That's why we have addictions. Because there's all kinds of bacteria, fungus, yeast, mold, parasites, worms of every kind that live in that dirty terrain. They can't live in a clean body. A clean body just throws them out. But if we polluted our body over a lifetime, then we have this unpleasant terrain in there. Just like in a city, or someone's dirty house or kitchen is a breeding ground for vermin, for cockroaches, for rats. But in a clean house, you don't get cockroaches, or a clean city, you don't get cockroaches or rats. So this is some of the stuff that's come out of people. I've had stuff like this come out of me. I've had thousands of people I've worked with over 25 years have stuff like this come out. And it's different for each person because according to each person's diet, what they've been eating, and also their body type. You know, some people are more air body types, some people are more fiery, some people are more watery or more earth. And so we all have different strengths, digestive strengths, and all different energy signatures. And according to that, and according to the foods we eat over a lifetime, they'll behave very differently and they'll turn into different types of sludge and slime. So it does take consistent practice over many, I would say, you will, within a month, you can get stuff like this out on the right protocol. We highly recommend aiming for a 3-month period or 88 days. And we highly recommend doing this repeatedly over a period of a good 3 to 4 to 5 plus years seasonally, and you will get more and more of this out. It won't at all necessarily come out in one go, but it'll start to come out. And it can come out in much smaller bits. It's not always joined together. Some people do get some real, 10 plus feet long rubbery snakes come out of them. They have big loads of worms come out of them. I remember when I did a pomegranate juice fast, must have been nearly 20 years ago now. And I went to the bathroom and it was scary what came out. I released a whole bunch of small pinworms. Like it was like a nest.
Oh, wow.
I was shocked. It's the kind of thing that you're not going to get out of your head soon. So, and these little critters could be argued that they affect our consciousness. But as I think I mentioned the other day, our consciousness, if our consciousness is in a heavy low place, our consciousness attracts them. They are a manifestation of heavy consciousness, but it's a vicious cycle where if we have them, they keep that heavy consciousness locked in place. So yeah, Reda's asking, that's enough, Carlotta, thank you. Are colonics recommended or enemas enough? Both are recommended according to your budget. If someone's on a much tighter budget, then they might not want to invest 150 or something pounds, if it's a place like London, to get someone else to clean their backside out for them, when you can do an enema for yourself for free for an enema kit for 10 or 20 pounds. So when you've got the money to invest in that, and when you're mastering your financial abundance, then invest in colonics. Absolutely. But enemas are more than good enough, and you can keep, the more you do enemas, the better you get at them, the longer you can hold the water. And the longer you can hold the water, which, and really 15 to 20 minutes, half an hour on occasions is enough. But, when you first do your first enema, you might only be able to hold it a few seconds or a few minutes. But if you can build it to the 10, 15, 20 minute mark, it gives it a chance for that water to hydrate the mucoid plaque and all the gunk. And once it's hydrated, then when you release, a lot more will come out. If we only hold water in our colon for a few minutes, it doesn't really give it a chance to slough this stuff off the inside walls. And then there's things we can do with our enemas. So that might be, we can add lemon juice to our enemas, is highly recommended. Will help alkalize and mineralize that area. There's teas that we could put in there. We can do chamomile tea, which can be very relaxing. There's other types of herbs that we can stick in there. And we'll find ourselves feeling so light once this gunk is out. Because it really is like, we're electrical beings. There's life force, there's God force that wants to flow through us, through our consciousness, through every cell. Our intuition is seated in our gut. Our gut is our second brain. And if our second brain is coated in all this slime and mucus and rubbery gunk, then that is breaking the energetic and electrical circuit that is communicating between all the cells, between all the organs, between all the glands, communicating your intuition to your brain And, there is gunk like this that builds up throughout the whole body. Most people's lymphatic systems are like dirty sewer drains. I did touch on the first day how much lymph is in the human body, right? Can I get a nod for anyone who was here on the first day? Right. So the lymph is supposed to be the fresh living rivers that move around the body. Yes, they carry away dead cells and cellular waste, but still, the way we're designed to live is that, okay, there's dead cells and there's cellular waste, but there's not so much that the body can't get rid of it, even potentially at the phase when we're in the womb or nursing from our mothers, let alone when we start eating heavy foods. From the moment we start eating food. And that there's such a avalanche of heavy foods put into our system, our body cannot expel it fast enough. So it just accumulates, and the rivers of our body, which flow over and through and around 50 to 100 trillion cells, get more and more clogged up. And they're so clogged up that they can't do their job, which is elimination. They are the avenues of elimination, and they are the avenues to remove that toxicity from the body. But once they are so clogged up, they can't even do their job. And the same thing kind of goes for the colon, the liver, the kidneys. They are all different sponges and filters for purifying the body and removing toxins. Even people's skin gets so clogged up, which is why people get all these eczema and rashes and psoriasis and bumps and all these different things. Every cell, every tissue is like a filter. And, a good example is, if you had a really dirty kitchen or bathroom and it hadn't been cleaned in a really long time, and then you take a sponge and you start trying to wipe everything down, and you don't really have proper hydration in that kitchen, bathroom, or your body to constantly clean the sponge out, the sponge just accumulates more and more dust and particles and grease and grime and starchy stuff. And then the sponge, from going from something soft and porous with lots of space, suddenly becomes like a solid brick. It's just full of gunk. And our bodies can become like that. So that the filters that are supposed to do their job, the organs and glands that are supposed to eliminate toxicity, they have impaired function. For someone to get to the stage where their skin is blocked, that means their body cannot, their skin cells can't breathe. And it's not just our lungs that breathe. All the pores and all the cells on the surface of our skin breathe. And they sweat. And it's essential that we sweat every day as a vehicle for eliminating toxins. And some people's skin, it is a reflection of the state of their organs and their lymph underneath, can get so clogged that they can't even sweat to remove the toxins that they need to remove. Everyone is required to remove toxins. And when it gets to the stage that we've got so much toxins, but the very systems that are designed to remove them are blocked, then that's a real issue. So the way to take care of these things is through applying these practices and principles that we've shared here consistently over months and years. And we will feel so much better. Our eyesight can improve. Our hearing can improve. Our smell and taste and touch can improve. Our libido can improve massively. I can't tell you how many hundreds of people have come to me over the years and decades and said, wow, I've got my libido back, or my husband or my wife has got their libido back. Oh, wow, I've got my creativity back. I've started drawing and painting again. I hadn't done that in years. Oh, I've started to sing again. I've got back into dancing, which are all things that we recommend because, there's a famous quote or story where someone goes to a shaman with a serious illness, and they're trying to trace the cause and the root of the sickness, and the shaman asks, well, what age were you when you stopped singing and dancing? And then the person remembers what age they were when they stopped singing and dancing, when they stopped embracing their inner child, when they stopped being playful and having fun and having vitality and not being constipated. And when we're constipated, we're not playful. We're not fun. We get stuck in our heads and we take everything too seriously. We get overly anxious. We get neurotic. We become obsessed with things. And it squeezes the joy out of our life. And it's very easy to get that joy back by being in tune with God's paradise that is already within us. That's the true self. On all levels. The divine mind, the divine heart, the divine body. It is our true nature. And all it takes, it's always inviting us to be in resonance and harmony and communion with it. The consciousness, the mind, the heart, the feelings, the body. We're just got to hear the call and take one step at a time. Feel what is the divine consciousness and mind thinking, saying. Listen to it. Quieten the noise of your mind, but the noise of our mind is a reflection of the noise of our bodies. There's toxicity in the mind, toxic thinking, and there's toxicity in the body. And it creates a lot of noise. People can't sit still. People can't be quiet. People find difficulty meditating, being still, peaceful, because they've got all these heavy metals, microplastics, volatile organic compounds, bacteria, fungus, yeast, mold, parasites, all the toxins that are sprayed on our food and that get in our air and our water. So in order to experience that inner peace, that inner vitality, that enthusiasm, that inspiration, it's essential that we support this divine design of our being and our body to eliminate all of that accumulation. Because so much more is possible for us. There are infinite possibilities available to us, but we don't see them when we're clogged up. Because that clogged upness is resistance. It feels like blockages, but really it's just very dense energy. It's not a physically, absolutely solid, immovable blockage. It's just resistance that is very low, dense energy. And so we work with the elements, air, fire, water, and earth. Breathing, thinking the most inspiring thoughts, creating the most inspiring realities and stories, moving our body vigorously, enthusiastically, joyfully, passionately every day, fasting a little bit more masterfully every day, whether that's a little bit of intermittent fasting, reducing our feeding window and increasing our joy window, and one deep fast a week, where you do the whole day as deep as you can. And you pick a day that works for you. You know, some of you might be retired, some of you might be working 7 days a week, 3 jobs. So you've got to customize the fasting as what works for your schedule. Some people might have 3 kids, some people might not have any kids. So, but 1 day a week, you can give yourself that gift of finding the deepest fast that you can go into and still be fully functional. So some examples of how that can play out is if someone were to do a water fast or a dry fast, then they're much more likely to need to rest because their body's going to go into a much deeper state of healing and toxin removal and toxin incineration. And in that process, they're going to feel they need to rest. However, we can juice fast and still be highly, highly functional, if not more functional than ever before. And once we get enough toxins out, we can actually water fast and even potentially dry fast and stay active. But once enough toxins are cleared, which is going to take, you're going to feel it out, one fast at a time. But if you were doing 4 liters of juice a day plus the wild food powders, you should be more than able to be fully active in the most busy of lifestyles. Because all of that mineralization, all of that hydration is going to, toxins get stirred up. And what's really important is once they are stirred up, that they are flushed out. And on a water fast or a dry fast, it doesn't quite work like that compared to when you're drinking 4 liters plus of juice a day, plus water, plus tea or herbal broth, soup. So you've got to pick the type of fast that works for you and your level of commitments and responsibilities to other things and people, so to speak. So, investing in paradise. That's the name of the game. We're all investing in a reality. And we've got the full spectrum of realities, from the greatest paradise possible to the greatest pain and suffering possible. And there's all kinds of distortions of those two in between. Or they're all distortions of the greatest paradise, and the greatest distortion is the greatest pain. But how we think, how we feel, how we act, how we invest our time, our energy, our money, and all of our other resources will either facilitate paradise and perpetuate that, or it will perpetuate the opposite of it. So, let's get put a big picture on things. If our age is 35 years old, then approximately by average lifespan, we have about 17,000 days left. How are we going to invest those days? What reality are we going to create with those days? And then each of those days we have like 24 chips that we can invest. And of course, 6 to 8 of those go into sleeping. If we can invest as many of those chips as possible in aligning with, co-creating paradise, if we can invest a few of those chips a day into taking care of our physical bodies, our well-being, our health, what are the results of that going to be? We're going to have a lot more mental clarity. We're going to have a lot more vitality that's going to benefit everyone and all the other areas of our lives. Our relationships, our finances, our creative fulfillment. So it's really empowering to keep one eye on the big picture. To understand why we're doing this. To have a ever more clearly defined vision, purpose, and mission for our lives. Why do we want to be healthy? For our kids, for our grandkids, for our pets, for our gardens, for our creative enterprises. For our friends. Once we have a compelling enough vision, and we keep an eye on that vision, and how much, count each and every day and at each and every moment, and realize that we're all dying. Can we live like we're dying, but with total enthusiasm and no fear? Because, our spirit and our soul is not dying, but these bodies, as far as we all know, maybe there's some stories of a handful of people that you could research that have allegedly broken the mold of regular physical mortality. But the chances are pretty high that, most out of 1 billion people, their bodies will die. And if we live with the full awareness And don't forget that these bodies are dying. That doesn't mean they can't be more full of vitality every day. That doesn't mean that they can't be more full of joy every day. Magic and miracles, possibilities, creativity, fulfillment, and satisfaction. They can be more and more full of that every day until we die. Exponentially more, but still, inevitably, these bodies are going to end up as ash in the earth. So, what better reason to not live our greatest lives possible, to enjoy the greatest well-being and make every moment and every day in our body count in the direction of feeling good rather than perpetuating suffering. Because if there's any area of our lives where we're suffering now and we aren't being the solution to that suffering, then that suffering compounds and gets worse. And we probably all had acute experiences where suffering is being continual and gradual, and then it's got to a point where we're in excruciating pain, whether it's a tooth or something else, because we haven't done something about it. And it's unfortunate how many human beings tolerate gradual, consistent pain and suffering that accumulates moment after moment, day after day, year after year, decade after decade. And they tolerate it and they adapt to this abnormal unnaturalness and all of the symptoms of it and all of the aches and pains. And the more years we're alive, we might, if we settle for that, we'll notice our memory not being so good, our mind not being so clear, our eyesight getting worse. Like all kinds of physical symptoms, but we're like, oh, that's all right, I'm just getting old, I should just get used to deteriorating. Or, if we settle for that, that's what we're going to get. And people settle for all kinds of mediocre in their lives. And it starts with mediocre thinking and having a mediocre vision, which is not very inspirational. And then they feel emotionally pretty meh, not too bad. And then they make the lifestyle choices that mimic that and that sometimes try to numb that lack of fulfillment and satisfaction out, which just compounds the issue. And Almighty God and all of the manifestations of paradise that are within us, our paradise body and all of the mineral kingdom, plant kingdom, animal kingdom, all the magic of paradise is here to help us. Every plant has a gift, has a blessing. Every animal has a blessing. Doesn't mean we have to eat the animal. We can just feel the archetypal energy of that animal. There's inspiration all around us, but the more we're domesticated, stuck in our homes and buildings for more and more hours a day, if we're purposely scrolling on screens and we're not getting out into nature and enjoying it in every way possible, if we're not celebrating paradise, then paradise appears to decline. Whereas the more we're celebrating paradise, the more it expands. And if we're not experiencing paradise at all within us, then it's pretty rare that we experience it outside of us. But the more we cultivate it and generate it within us, the more it manifests on the outside. Doesn't matter where in the world we are. In London, we'll find paradise. In New York, we'll find paradise just as easily as in Hawaii or the Amazon. But we'll more likely enjoy more time in a naturally beautiful area than just being only in cities the whole time. Got a little ant that came to say hi. Hi, ant. Okay, so how are we doing? I think we're at our 45-minute mark. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to ask? Any questions? Everyone knows what to do? Keep giving it your all. And it being your God self and the most inspiring vision of your God self. Give your whole self to it. Surrender to it. Trust it. Have faith in it. And keep taking inspired action. Because we all have a unique offering, presence, and gift to share with the world. And that's what we're here for. But if we're not taking care of ourselves, then we are impeding its expression. That is created to be, and we are created to be, a blessing to all of life, to all of creation. So take the greatest care of yourself so you can take the greatest care of paradise. Cultivate that within and it manifests on the outside. So sending all of you so much love that are here on the live and everyone watching the recording. Thank you, Sammy Lou. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Carlotta. Thank you, Camilla. Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Reda. Thank you, Lily. Lovely to have you here. Sorry I didn't get a chance to say hi. Okay. Lots of love, everyone.
Lots
Up
of
to
love.
it.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.